see how it works to continue on and meld these two. The website is called powershow.com. I will send a link of it to you or put it on D2L. We're going to skip quite a bit of this because you've already seen some. Das Perfekt by Frau Woodhouse. Again, it's the conversational past. For weak verbs, we use the past participle, das Partizip Perfekt of weak verbs. We add a T or ET to them, depending on what the stem ends with. And then in the front of the verb, we add ge. If you remember that, spielen becomes gespielt, haben, gehabt. We've got ge plus the stem plus T or ET. Notice how if the stem ends in T, we add ET because it's too hard to say gearbeitet without that E in there. Reguläre Verben, she gives you a list of many of them. Brauchen becomes gebraucht. Faulenzen, to be lazy, becomes gefaulenzt. Geglaubt, gehört. I hope this is focused enough for you. That's a little better. Feiern, gefeiert. These are all weak verbs. German is mostly made up of weak verbs. You could ignore that reference to the textbook because that's not the book we use. Again, these are in the appendix of your book, A8, A20, A21. If you don't see a form listed, that means the verb is weak, and you simply add the ge, the ge, plus the t. It's weak or regular if you don't see a varied form given. Other weak verbs. Sometimes verbs end in ieren, like studieren, diskutieren. Don't add the ge. Ich habe studiert. I studied. Wir haben unser Haus repariert. We repaired our house. Willst du mich oder hast du mich fotografiert? Did you photograph me? Hat sich nicht interessiert. He wasn't interested. Die Gruppe haben in der Türkei protestiert. Weak verbs have a ge and a t, right? With no change in the stem. However, just as in English, there are a few verbs whose stem does change, and they still end in t and add the ge, the ge, to the front. In English, think about, we have our weak verbs play, played, talk, talked, walk, walked. That's ending that T sound just like in German. Well, think about however the verb bring, we change the ing to a for brought, but it still ends in T like other weak verbs. That's called an irregular weak verb or a mixed. Most verbs do not change the stem before adding G or T, but there are some, just like in English, that do. Stem change and a T. Think of think, thought, bring, brought, catch, caught. Still end in T, but have a vowel change. Ta-da, same thing happens in German. Bringen, ge, plus the T as in a weak verb, but there's a vowel change. Denken, gedacht. Nennen, to name, genannt. Kennen, to know, someone, gekannt. Vowel change, but they still end in T. Rennen, to run, another word for to run, gerannt. Brennen, to burn, habe gebrannt. Wissen, to know, hat nicht gewusst. He didn't know. Now we have a lot of strong verbs in the German language. We get the ge, usually. We get a stem, sometimes with a vowel change, sometimes without a vowel change. Only these verbs end in en. In the majority of these cases, the stem of the verb will change in the past participle. Unfortunately, some of them won't change, and you won't know why. Therefore, you have to memorize them. The other reason is because you can't really predict until you get very familiar with the language what the stems are going to change to. Some examples of strong verbs. It says the fortunate aspect to this is once a past participle, always a past participle. The form never changes after that or takes a new ending, but you still have to learn them. I can't think of any that have more than one past participle. Well, maybe I can. So we have sehen. Sehen, you already know, is irregular because the vowel changes in the present tense conjugation. Ich sehe, du siehst. That's an automatic indicator that this is an irregular or strong verb, and that the stem may change, but more importantly, the ending is going to be en. Because it has a vowel change in the present, it's automatically strong and ends in en. Just because the stem doesn't change here does not mean it's not still strong. Here we have finden. That doesn't change in the present tense. No vowel change. Ich finde, du findest, sie es findet. It's strong though. How did we know that? Because we memorized it. Gefunden. Nehmen. Genommen. We knew that was strong or irregular because it goes from ich nehme in the present to du nimmst, sie es nimmt. It's an indicator that it will end in en. It doesn't give us information, however, about what that new stem will be in the Partizip, past participle. Halten, to hold, gehalten. Schlafen, geschlafen. Here are some that take the same vowel in the Partizip. Halten, geschlafen, getragen. Here's another set. Geben, gegeben, gelesen. To lie, past participle, lehn. Or laid, I'm sorry, that was liegen, gelegt. No, that's lehn. Sitzen, gesessen. Sit, sat. Helfen, geholfen. Keep in mind that this is only one part of the two-part perfect tense. We're always going to have a helping verb as well, remember. And pretty soon, perhaps this slideshow will take us there. But first, they're going to tell you what happens with verbs who have a separable prefix. This we don't get into until the next chapter, chapter 6 in Sag mal, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have a preview to it. Einladen becomes eingeladen. Can you analyze what happened there? Yes, the ge gets stuck between the prefix and the stem of the verb. Abholen, to pick up, hat abgeholt. Notice that the verbs can either be strong or weak. The prefixes are not related to whether they're strong or weak. It doesn't help you predict anything. Sadly, you have to memorize them. It's not so sad. You're smart. Einkaufen, eingekauft. Shopped. Zurückzahlen, to pay back. Zurückgezahlt, paid back. Called up. Watched TV. Inseparable prefixes are never detached from the stem, as you recall when they were conjugated. Vergessen, du vergisst. Gewinnen, wir gewinnen das Spiel. Empfehlen. Here they never get separated either. You just simply don't add a ge. Don't take the inseparable prefix off, because you'd have a really funny sounding word. It would be beantwortet. Too much of a mouthful. Leave it off. Wir haben besucht. Es hat mir gefallen. Ja, wir haben das Spiel gewonnen. Oh, du hast verloren. You lost. Word order, which we covered the other day. In the first video, the helping verb is either a form of haben or sein. It gets put into the conjugated verb placement. So either verb second in a statement, or where does it go in a question? Yes, it goes first. The auxiliary or helping verb is second. The past participle, the past participle is written last. Hat gespielt. Die Leute haben einander getroffen. They met each other. Die Leute first, haben, second position, getroffen at the very end. Die böse Ente hat den Computer geschlagen. Das hier ist eine Ente, Computer, und was mit dem Hammer macht, ist schlagen. Hat den Computer geschlagen. Sometimes the helping verb is sein instead of haben. The previous ones were all haben. Sein. What do these verbs have in common? Ist gestern gekommen? Kommen. Oop, I'm going to skip that and let you analyze a little bit. Oop. Aufstehen. What does that have in common with kommen? What about fahren? How is that like the verb kommen? Think about what it means. Fliegen. Gehen. Do you see a common thread? Instead of using haben as the helping verb, we use a form, conjugated form, determined by the subject of the verb sein. Laufen, kommen, ist geschwommen, ist gewandert. What do these verbs all have in common? Yeah, he's kind of helping you figure it out. Dieser Mann ist viel gelaufen. Except for that one. We're going to go back now. Laufen, schwimmen, kommen, wandern, geworden. They all show change in location. Kommen, you get from here to there. Same with laufen. Schwimmen, you can use as a means to get from here to there. Wandern, change in location. Worden, however, geworden from the verb werden. If you recall, werden means to get or become, like to get sick. Ich werde krank. Ich bin sehr krank geworden. So again, it's another change. What we say is the verbs who take sein have to show a change in location, like kommen, laufen, or a change in condition or state of being. If you are one way and you become something else, you are changing